Welcome to the session conducted by Discensys. Suppose Discensys has built a small learning application. Today, only a few students use it. Every great building starts with a blueprint. Similarly, every scalable application starts with an architecture. If tomorrow 1 million people use our app, will the same architecture still work? Probably not. Exactly. Today's session is about how companies like Google, Netflix, Amazon solve exactly this problem. Let's first understand why traditional deployment fails. Now, from the day 1 till the day 100. Initially, if we find 10 users, everything might be working perfectly. Then, one famous YouTuber recommends the app. Traffic becomes enormous. Does success ever become a problem? The server begins to slow down, crash, reject users. It is somewhere like a tea stall suddenly receiving 20,000 customers. The tea is excellent. The problem is capacity. So, similarly, coming back to the concept, can we simply buy a bigger computer? Now, the evolution of software development, the traditional, the virtual machines, the containers. Initially, Discensys bought one server. As users increased, they upgraded hardware, and it is still insufficient. Then, engineers discovered containers. Now you could see the traditional virtual machines and Docker containers. Let's try to understand comparing all of them. Traditional. It is one application per machine. And virtual machines, it is several virtual computers. And the Docker containers, that is many lightweight applications sharing one system. Now you could understand in a reality, considering that traditional is one family in one huge bungalow, and virtual machines, it is an apartment building, and containers, it is a well designed hostel rooms. But containers create a new challenge, and then containers solve packaging, not chaos. You could see the containers being scattered here and there. Discensys now has hundreds of containers. Who keeps track of all of these? Nobody. Exactly. Containers solve packaging but not management. Imagine owning 500 delivery bikes. Buying bikes is easy. Managing drivers, routes, and maintenance is a real challenge. Containers are the bricks. Kubernetes becomes the city planner. And here, Kubernetes enters the story. The operating system for the cloud. Think of Kubernetes as the operating system of an entire city. Discensys no longer owns one server, it owns hundreds of servers. Kubernetes manages all of them together. Now, try to answer this. Can one mayor manually control every traffic signal in a city? No, absolutely. And here, automation becomes very much necessary. And then, Kubernetes automatically manages applications, resources, networking, availability, right? So now let's try to understand the city. Mapping cloud to the infrastructure. Now let's walk into them from people to the buildings to the city to the control plane, that is city administration. So considering Discensys city, it's where employees work inside offices. Offices exist inside buildings, and buildings form a city. The city has a municipal corporation, and exactly the same. Container is depending on the node, and node is depending on the cluster, and cluster is depending on the control plane. Does every city need a municipal corporation? Yes. So every Kubernetes cluster needs a control plane. Now let's meet the smallest worker, the pod, which is the fundamental unit. Each employee needs a cabin to work. So here you could treat a container as an employee and pod as an office cabin. Sometimes we might have one employee, sometimes two employees working together. Would two employees working on the same project prefer separate buildings or the same office? Same office. You're right. So that's why related containers share one single pod. But what if one office suddenly catches fire? Self healing. So then it moves to the crash, detect, and then restore. Suppose one employee's computer crashes. Should the entire company stop working? No. Kubernetes notices automatically, creates another pod. Users never notice this. For example, suppose one cashier falls sick. The supermarket immediately opens another counter. Customers continue shopping as it is, right? So users don't care which machine serves them. They only care that the application works. Now, imagine tomorrow 10 million users arrive to the application, right? So, in the morning, suppose there are 10 users, and in the night, there are 10 million users. That's so large amount, right? So, our app suddenly becomes viral. Instead of manually creating servers, Kubernetes automatically creates more pods. Does the traffic fall? Right? If the traffic falls, then pods reduce. That's very simple. For example, should we keep 500 buses running at midnight if only 5 passengers are traveling? No, exactly. Resources should expand and shrink automatically. Can updates happen without stopping users? So there we step into the rolling updates from version 1 to the version 2. Discensys releases a new feature. Shouldn't we Or should we shut down the app for 2 hours if Discensys releases a new feature? No. Kubernetes replaces old pods one by one. Users continue using the application. It is somewhere like changing tires on a moving convoy, one vehicle at a time rather than stopping the whole fleet, right? So, updates become almost invisible to users. But how does Kubernetes know what the final system should look like? The reconciliation loop. Now, this is the heart of Kubernetes. From desired state to the current state to the compare and then fix. Discensys wants 5 application pods and currently only 3 exist. Then Kubernetes notices all of these and creates 2 more automatically. Now suppose if your classroom should have 60 chairs but only 58 are present, what would the school do? They bring 2 more. Exactly. Kubernetes constantly asks, does reality match what the user requested? And this is why huge companies trust Kubernetes. Now, the industry standard. Netflix is for streaming, Amazon is for shopping, and banks and healthcare and all. Now, millions of users, millions of requests, thousands of servers. Humans cannot manage manually all of this. And then Kubernetes becomes a manager over here. Would Netflix pause every movie whenever they release an update? No, right? So the next revolution is AI. AI requires orchestration. That is training, inference, and many more. AI workloads need hundreds of GPUs, massive storage, huge networking. Now the question is, can one GPU train ChatGPT? It's simply no. Kubernetes coordinates all GPUs. It is somewhere like imagining directing 500 construction workers. Without a manager, everyone works randomly. Now, AI workloads also change continuously. The dynamic resource allocation. Now, you could see the cycle presented here. As we considered earlier, that in the morning, suppose we have few users, and in the night, we have grabbed millions of users. Then AI predicts demand. Kubernetes prepares resources beforehand. Instead of reacting, it anticipates, right? For suppose there's an airport management and extra counters open before holiday rush begins. And this is how it happens in the real time also. Now, let's bring everything together. The complete infrastructure stack. Now, we were moving from users to the applications to the Kubernetes to the containers and then the virtual machines and in the last the infrastructure. Our tiny Discensys Learn app started with 10 users. It became a global platform serving millions. It survived because of containers packaged application, pods, grouped related components, nodes, hosted workloads, clusters, combined machines, and Kubernetes orchestrated everything, and AI optimized resource allocation. Kubernetes is not another programming language or another server. It is the intelligent city manager of modern cloud computing. It watches thousands of applications, automatically heals failures, scales resources, performs updates, and ensures that millions of users experience a service that appears effortless. Even though an enormous amount of orchestration is happening behind the scenes.